Well, the final Grand Slam of the year comes from New York and Flushing Meadows, a very hot and steamy Flushing Meadows, of course. Plenty of fatigue kicking in with the players. It's been a long North American hardcourt season so far. The big question is, can Andy Murray extend his winning run to 27, 29? And if he does, that means he will claim his second US Open crown. And here to talk us through this, to give his top tips for the big tournament, is none other than 2009 and 2010 quarter-finalist at the US Open, Robin Soderling. Robin, great to have you part of Team Betsafe again ahead of the final major.
It's a pleasure to be back again.
Robin, we spoke last, and you were actually in Rio at the Olympics, not sunning yourself, but working there for Swedish television, covering the tennis. Did you have a great trip? And just remind all of us out there what happened in the ladies and the men's tennis.
Oh, I mean, it was great. I had the time because I was commentating all the tennis matches. I had time to watch a lot, and I have to say it was a great tournament. Both women's and men's tournament were really good. Like so many good matches, and Del Potro beating Djokovic in the first round. Great final. Del Potro beating Nadal. And in the women's, I think Monica Puig winning Puerto Rico's first gold medal. She played outstanding tennis, especially in the final where she beat Angelique Kerber, who's number 2 in the world. So it was a great tournament for sure.
And a stunning upset, of course, because she's ranked in the 30s, I think, something like that.
Yeah, she's never been close to reaching a final in a tournament like the Olympics or even in the smaller tournaments. As you said, she's ranked around 40, 50 in the world, but the way she played during the whole week, if she can play like that, she's definitely a top 10 player.
Well, let's talk about the top 10 that are going to be challenging or possibly even outside of that for the US Open. Robin, this is a tournament you know exceptionally well, of course, as mentioned, a double quarter-finalist there in 2009 and 2010. Conditions, what can what can the players be expected to find there at Flushing Meadows?
US Open is a little bit of a tricky tournament because you never know what to expect when you're waking up in the morning. Some days it can be extremely hot and humid. Some days it can be cold and it can be really windy as well. So it's a tough tournament because the weather's changing a lot. But to me, I love the tournament. It's such a great place, and playing on the semi-court Arthur Stadium night session matches, it's a fantastic atmosphere.
Now, since 2004, Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Andy Murray are the only players to have won the men's US Open since marriage, and except for Marin Cilic and Juan Martín del Potro in 2009, a guy that we're going to talk about. That suggests that, of course, the big four will always dominate there. But it is a tournament of surprises. Fatigue. We saw what happened last year with Flavia Pennetta and Irani in the ladies' draw. Of course, Cilic and Kei Nishikori making it through to the final a couple of years earlier. This is a tournament of surprises in the early stages. Surprises and upsets can happen.
I think especially this year because the scheduling has been so tough. Most of the players played in Rio a couple of weeks ago, then straight from Rio to Cincinnati. Obviously Andy Murray winning the Olympics, flying straight to Cincinnati, playing well, but you could really see that he was struggling physically. He made it to the final, lost to Silic, but it's really tough. Now the top players they get a week off now before the Open, which is great. But it's coming into the end of the season, and it's going to be tough. So it's really important to try to stay healthy, both physically but especially mentally.
Well, you spoke about obviously the fatigue side of it. Novak Djokovic should be pretty fresh. He went out in the first round of the Olympics. He decided not to play in Cincinnati. Novak will come in there, obviously knowing how to win the US Open. And Andy Murray also had a week's break as well after his superb win in Cincinnati and the Olympics as well. 22
Yeah,
match unbeaten run there. Certainly the two favourites for the tournament. Djokovic at 4-5, and Andy Murray coming in with Betsafe at 3-1.
yeah, as you said, Djokovic and Murray. I mean, I think, couple of weeks, couple of months ago, I would say Djokovic, he was by far the best player in the world. Now Murray, he's been playing extremely well, and There's a little question mark for Djokovic health as well, because I saw a lot of practices he did in Rio, and he's having some problems with his left wrist hitting his double-handed backhand. I think that's why he pulled out from Cincinnati as well. So a little question mark for Djokovic, which of course, in my opinion, makes Andy Murray this time the biggest favorite to win the title.
And Djokovic, of course, is the defending
Of
champion as
course,
well.
is
Also, 2011 winner. Andy Murray and Novak were involved in that absolutely superb final in 2012, almost 5 hours or maybe even longer than that. Just tell us what you see in Andy's game in this current 22 match unbeaten run and in form, and where you see his game at the moment.
well, I think he managed to play even more aggressive than before. I think that's why he had so much success last year or last couple of years on clay. But the way he played in Olympics and also in Cincinnati last week, he played even more aggressive, especially with his backhand, and he managed to serve well. He managed to have a high percentage of first serves in, which is really important for his game because sometimes his first serve percentage can drop a little bit, and that's where he's struggling. Even though he has a better second serve now, it's still, I think, in my opinion, his weakest shot. So he needs to put a lot of first serves in. Then, of course, he'll gonna be really really dangerous, and I think he will win the title.
And then obviously we've always got to take under consideration Rafa Nadal, a former champion there as well. But his form's been a little bit different. Rafa 20-1 to win the title. But ahead of him, you've got guys queuing up in Stan Wawrinka 14-1. Milos Raonic, the big serving Canadian, plays exceptionally well on the hard courts at 14-1. And then that man, Juan Martin Del Potro, nobody can begrudge seeing him make the final. The 2009 champion, absolutely fantastic to see him back. And at 31-2, he looks a really good bet.
Yeah, there's a few guys that can really challenge the two top guys. I'm not seeing Nadal and these guys doing well because Nadal didn't play well in Cincinnati. It's a really fast surface in Cincinnati, and it's a fast surface at the U.S. Open. And he's not playing, even though he reached the semifinals in Olympics. He's not 100% yet. He's not playing his best tennis. He can win a lot of matches, but if he's not playing his best tennis, he's not going to beat the top guys, especially not on a fast surface. But and pretty much the same with Wawrinka. He didn't play well at all in Cincinnati, and he's also struggling a little bit with the faster surfaces. But as you said, Del Potro, and I know for a fact that he's not even 100% sure in his left wrist still. But anyway, he managed to beat Nadal. He managed to beat Djokovic and almost beating Murray in the final as well. So if he can have a good draw, I think he has a chance to do really well. But he's not going to be seeded this year. He can play Djokovic in the first round again, as in the Olympics. So we'll see. But I think Del Potro is really one to look out for, and the same with Nishikori. You mentioned the match between Nishikori and Silic a couple of years ago. Silic winning Cincinnati, and everybody knows what he can do on the hard courts when he won the US Open a couple of years ago. Nishikori played really well on hard courts. So I think Nishikori and Silic, together with Del Potro, maybe Raonic, there's a couple of guys to really look out for in the men's draw.
Kei Nishikori, 24-1 with Betsafe. Chilik, 24-1. Juan Martin Del Potro, 31-2. But just remember what Robin said there. The fact that he's not seeded, he could end up playing anybody in the draw. My advice would be to wait for the draw to take place before placing a bet on your outright winner. And of course, the big serving Canadian, 14-1 in Milos Raonic. And Andy Murray, 2-1 at the moment with Betsafe, not 3-1. The odds have been shortened there. Let's talk the women for a second, Robin. Of course, US Open has been very much the home of Serena Williams in recent years. 6 wins to her name, but that was upset by the Italian Flavia Pennetta last year. Where do you see Serena's game coming into the US Open with only 2 tournament wins, I think it is, so far in the calendar year?
Yeah, I think there's a big question mark for Serena this year. I watched her at the Olympics. She didn't play well at all. She looked tired. She wasn't inspired. She pulled out from Cincinnati with a shoulder injury. So This is actually the first time in a very, very long time I'm not seeing Serena Williams as the number one favorite. I really think that Angelique Kerber is going to win it because she's been playing well. She lost the finals both at the Olympics and the Cincinnati, but the way she played, I was really impressed. She moves well. She puts a lot of first serves in, and it's really tough to hit winners against her. And she's a lefty, which helps her a lot as well. So I think Kerber's going to win it this year.
There you go. There's a great tip from Robin. Angelique Kerber at 9-1, final in the Olympics, final in the Cincinnati, of course, the final in the French Open as well, and an Australian Open champion earlier this year when she defeated Serena Williams. Anybody else out there that you see potentially that could cause an upset or certainly an outside pick for you?
Yeah, I think the way Muguruza played in Cincinnati, even though she lost in the semifinals, I think I was impressed by the way she played. She struggled a little bit since the French Open and the Wimbledon, but now she's really playing much better again. And when she's on it and playing well, she's always dangerous. She can easily win the title. Same with Simona Halep, semifinals in Cincinnati. I was impressed by the way she played. She lost to Kerber, but she played well all the matches. So I think there's two women to really look out for.
There you go. Two more great tips there from Robin. Garbine Muguruza from Spain at 7-1, and Romania's Samola Halep at 17-2 with Betsafe. Those were Robin's tips. Just very quickly as well, when you reached the quarterfinals in '09 and '10 and played there before and after, there was no roof on the centre court of Arthur Ashe. They have one there now. How would that affect, I suppose, the atmospheric conditions of the court if they have one of those August, September thunderstorms in New York? How would that affect the
Yeah.
atmospheric conditions inside and hence the speed of the court?
I mean, it always gets faster, even faster. It's a fast court at the Open. The courts are fast, can be very hot, but when you close the roof, my guess it's that it's going to be extremely hot and humid when they play indoors, and then the conditions will be even faster. But I cannot even imagine the atmosphere, how good it will be if they close the roof, because there's nothing like playing a night session on a full semi-court at the US Open. And when they close the roof, I think the atmosphere will be even better. So I'm really excited too. I actually really hope for some rain this year so we can see some indoor matches this year.
Well, there's some really great tips for you guys. If you are betting in play on the US Open this year and it's a centre court Arthur Ashe match and the roof gets closed, remember the surface and the conditions will speed up. Look for that big server. And of course, don't bet on the outright winner until you've seen the draw as well, especially when you've got somebody like Juan Martin Del Potro who's going to be unseeded and lurking. A quick reminder, Robin, to the listeners and the watchers out there, who's going to be your two tips for the ladies and of course for the men as well?
I think Murray is going to win the men's tournament, and I think Angelique Kerber is going to win the women's. So both the world number twos, not the world number ones, not Djokovic and not Serena this time.
And some tremendous value in Angelique Kerber there. Just a reminder on Betsafe at 9-1. A lady at the top of her game and a lady who is a Grand Slam winner as well. Robin, thank you very much indeed for your time. Brilliant to have your expert opinions ahead of
Thank
the
you.
US Open and look forward to having you again. I think it is before the Shanghai Masters.
Of course. Thank you so much.